this computer, and we are getting it. Okay. I am thrilled that you guys are here tonight and that we're getting to touch base with the First Impressions team, the welcome team, the greeters, the folks that are the first face for our church. The very first thing I wanted to tell you all, this really is a special group of people doing a special job. You need to know that how many of you have gone to church somewhere while you're on vacation or whatever pretty recently? Anybody? Okay. Yeah. Your experience walking into those churches, did you walk into basically kind of an empty church with nobody greeting, or did you have a greeter at the door? Yeah. Did it make a big difference? Oh, it's a huge difference, isn't it? Yeah. It's okay. She's Methodist, but go with me. One of my favorite experiences walking into another church was at a Methodist church, sweet lady at the front door. And I mean, right out of the gate, she was like, I'm going to glom onto this guy because I was a new face. Now that's one of the things that I like to do. And I would encourage all of you to do when you're on vacation. Go to a church, try not to go to a Southern Baptist church. All right. Your theology's safe. You're going to be here all the time. Why do I say go to a non-Southern Baptist church? Well, when I showed up at the Methodist church and you had a tag team group up there, a guy and a gal preaching together. And I went, well, what did I just walk into? I'd never seen that before. Right. And then they took the Lord's Supper and they didn't do it like we do or anybody that I'd ever seen before. And I said, what in the world do I do here? And I was out of sorts. And when I was out of sorts, I immediately felt what it feels like to walk into a church and not really know what to do. When to stand up and when to sit down and who to shake hands with and where to go and what to do. And so that's a fairly regular practice of mine. I showed up at a Presbyterian church and they had already started. The information that was on the website wasn't quite right. And so I had that awkward feeling of walking in and going, oh, we've already done the music. And do I walk into the preaching? And that feeling, of what that feels like. Walking into a church where there are no greeters. I walked into the sanctuary and the music guy looks up from the stage, looks at me, gives me that, what are you doing in my room look, and then goes back to about his business. And I went, oh, I felt that, right? And so doing that on vacation is a great time for you to feel what every one of the church members and the guests feel when they walk in this door and see you, because the difference is remarkable. And so I just want you to know right out of the gate, this is a thank you. And this is one of the simple ways that I just want to be able to touch the various groups of our church. Everything worth doing needs a little bit of maintenance every now and again, just so you know, the pastor sees me. And the pastor sees our work and sees our mission and sees what we're trying to do. And you all know that you're kind of not just on the team, but you're on board. We're all going kind of in the same direction, right? And so that's what we're really trying to do is spend just a few minutes maintaining this group, okay? Because I'm sure that you deal with a fairly wide range of people and a fairly wide range of questions. And sometimes you don't have those answers. And so tonight, I want to try and help you with some of those answers and just encourage you that some of those answers are coming in the future. And so we'll kind of go over some of those things because what you do fits into our vision and purpose. You know that, right? You're not just being a nice face right out in front. Charles, I'm sorry. You're not just a pretty face, brother. Yeah. So you're not just a smiling face. You're part of our vision, part of our mission. to equip believers, to engage our community, to advance God's kingdom. You all actually are working in that work. When you stand at one of those doors or drive a golf cart or put coffee out on the coffee bar, we're going to tell you how in just a minute, but you're part of that vision and part of that mission, primarily because when people walk in the door here, and I want you to hear this over and over and over again. This is something that maybe you've already heard me say. When somebody walks in this door, if you've been a member for 50 years or you're a first-time guest, God has entrusted that person to us. It's not just a warm body that walked in the building. This is a gift from God that has been given to us to steward as a church. And so every single human being, little bitty, great big, old, barely getting around, running around like a banshee, God's entrusted all of those to us, right? These are precious gifts from God. And so when we look at it that way, I want to equip you to be able to grab hold of every one of those people and say, God gave this one to us. And I got to play part, not just a little part, but a part in the bigger picture of that person coming maybe to faith in Christ, maybe joining our church as a member. I want you to be able to have the elation of seeing somebody that you greeted, that somebody that you intentionally invested in just a little bit, maybe over a couple of times, walk down the aisle and say, I want to join this church. Have you recognized that in your own ministry and the greeter ministry or whatever? You've seen that and you said, how did you feel about that?
Good.
You're like, oh, yeah, I was part of that, right?
Pastor, this might throw us off on your deal.
Go ahead.
If I could just interject. This morning, a young couple went down to the altar to pray. They haven't ever joined our church, but Callie went down from way up high. She's one of our greeting teams. She went down there and she met them and prayed with them at the altar. One of these days, they will be members of our church, and she's going to be part of that.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. So what you do is part of the greater vision. We're equipping believers. We're engaging the world that is being sent to our door. And God's kingdom is being advanced when the folks that walk in this place that say, I don't know much about the Bible, but I feel like I'm supposed to be here. Okay, good. You come with me. I'm going to take them to hands and feet, and we're going to drop them off. And then what we've done is we've actually taken somebody and entrusted them to another beautiful person in our church, right? So that's we're going to put together the process where we see people as a gift from God and that we steward that well. That's going to take some time to get that done, but in a small part, you're a big part of that work. And then I want to strengthen you tonight. Okay. How long have you been doing the first impressions kind of greeter type of thing?
5 or 6 years.
5 or 6 years. Yeah. Anybody been here from the beginning? Greeters? Oh yeah. Bunch of you. Yeah. Yeah. There's a possibility of showing up on yet one more Sunday, and it's not a great Sunday for you. Maybe it's an off Sunday, but you're kind of going, oh, same people, same handshakes, and I gotta gin it up, introverts in the room. And yeah, I gotta force myself to do this kind of thing. And that's difficult. And so maybe there's kind of a day or two where you go, oh. So what I want to actually do is also strengthen you with some very simple, basic skills that you can work on over time. Okay. I like people I have an introverted part to me, but I really like people and I like to engage people and I enjoy one-on-one conversation. I like this larger group kind of thing too. And so standing at a door, that sounds like recess to me, right? That sounds like fun. But for many in this room, you might say, oh, I hate that kind of thing. If somebody would give me just a simple couple of skills, just a couple of small tools, it would be easier to do what I do. So we're going to do some of that. And so, okay, Admire, I need you. Come on, you're not shy. So I'm going to do this with you. This is my friend, Jonathan Admire. And so what we're going to do is I'm just going to give you a quick, just kind of mock play act kind of thing. I don't know this cat, right? And so I'm greeting him at the door and we're going to go from there. And your whole tribe can be in tow with this one, man, right? Because you go with them everywhere.
We did.
Yeah.
We went, we visited a church 2 weeks ago.
There you go.
They did not have a greeter.
Right.
It was super awkward, actually.
Right. Yes. And not just awkward, but hard for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. What was the hardest thing to find or the hardest thing to do when you walked into that church?
Well, the website,
Yes.
the information was a little incorrect. And when I showed up, we showed up a little early and it was prayer meeting at 9 and then Sunday school and then church. Well, the prayer meeting evidently was just for the elders, but I showed up with my whole family. And when they came out, it was like, well, I mean, you can come in. And I was like, we're coming in.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody just kind of like, what are these people doing here? And we felt that.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. And that's real. And do you ever get a chance at a new first impression? Never. You got one shot at it. But it's okay. Trust me, the second impression can actually trump the first impression. It can. You just have to work a little bit at it. So if they come back the second time. But so, hey, I'm Dan. What's your name?
Jonathan.
Jonathan. Great to see you. And I'm glad that you're here today. Who are all of these people with?
This is my family. I'm actually trying to play this out like I
Yeah.
I really would.
Right.
This is my family. We're here visiting this morning.
Oh, that's fantastic. I'm glad that you drink coffee.
I do.
Okay, come on. Let me get you some coffee. You notice what I'm doing right now? I'm walking away from the door. Okay? Because I'm going to take him to the coffee bar with his kids in tow. Do your kids need some water or anything like that? Because it's right over here. Okay. And so we take him to the coffee bar and all along the while, I'm just chatting with him. Let's get back over here so that the microphone can pick us up. And so I'm noticing that you're wearing an Admire roofing hat, right?
Yes. At church.
So totally fine with me. Is that something that you're part of?
It is.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's where you work. Fantastic. Yeah. So do you like work like roof all day long?
We try to.
Okay, good. Good deal. And do you put these kids to work all the time? Because they're free labor, right?
Free labor is expensive labor.
And free labor is expensive labor. That's very good. So what brings you to Friendly? Do you have friends that come here?
We're spending the weekend away and we want to go to church this weekend.
Oh, that's awesome. Where do you live?
In Tyler.
You live in Tyler.
Okay. Flip this. This was my conversation 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Okay.
We live in Houston.
Okay, so you live in Houston.
Mhm.
Awesome. And you came to Tyler and you're just hanging out for the weekend.
Just
Probably
hanging.
Tyler State Park, maybe something like that.
Yep. That's
Okay,
it.
yeah, that's really great. So let me get you to the kid check area because we're gonna need to get them checked in.
Yep.
And let me start out real quickly. We're gonna have you, and now we're walking to the kid check area. If you can fill out just a little bit of information for us. Name, phone number, and then just kind of drop some of that in. I know that you're a guest. He's handing it off to his wife. But that's totally cool. We want to get your kids checked in, and you don't have to fill that out perfectly and completely just right now. But if you can give us simple information where we can contact you if one of the kids needs you, or whatever, we're going to get you checked in, and I'm going to introduce you to Kaylin. I walk him up and Kaylin, this is Jonathan and his family, and he's going to check in some of the kids here. And what was your wife's name? Win is gonna fill this form out. And if you'll come help her in just a second, that'd be awesome. Do you see where we're going with that? Where are you right now? Long way from your door. Why do we put 2 people at each door? So that one of you can do this. And the other one that isn't all that gregarious and loving the chatty and all of that kind of stuff, totally fine. You do you. The one that's standing at the door is still being pleasant smile and greeting people and being lovely. The one that is like, yeah, I get to talk to a new person, which is a smaller percentage, but just figure out who that is. And you don't have to be this spot on salesman type person. In fact, please don't. Nobody likes to be sold. Everybody likes to be loved, right? And so in this conversation, I just asked a few simple questions and I got curious about him and about his family. So I want to do something. You can go sit. I want to do something for a second. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to kind of pair up, not with your spouse, not with a really close friend. You might already know somebody's name in here, totally fine. We probably know each other a little bit better than we might, but still yet somebody that you would say, I've not just done life with this person for 30 years and I know every intimate detail, but just kind of pair up. And it's going to require you to move. So go ahead and never stand up and pair up and move. And then I'm going to lead you from there. So go ahead and get paired up. We'll get you there for a second. There you go. Okay, don't get too far away. Okay, here we go. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. This is simple stuff, right? Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. One person is the greeter. The other one is the person walking in the door. Can be you're yourself, right? Just be who you are. The greeter person, here's what I'm going to get. There's the one direction I'm going to give you. Okay. Be curious. Curiosity. That curiosity needs to be sparked by something, right? And so let it be sparked by a name. Let it be sparked by where they're from. You know, where'd you grow up? Are you from? My favorite question here is, are you from Tyler? Have you lived here for a long, long time? Or did you just move here? Because guess what? There's a bunch of people moving here, you know, from across the state and across the United States, some from around the world. So especially if you pick up on some of the accents of a foreign exchange student, maybe from UT Tyler or wherever. Oh, then you get to be really curious. Tell me about your home, you know, this kind of, so be curious. And here's all I'm going to ask you to do. As the greeter, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to carry on just a simple conversation. And I told you I was going to give you one direction. I'm going to give you 2. The second direction, don't talk about yourself. You ask questions and you back and forth interject with them about them. Because sadly, it's true. Our favorite topic in all the world is me. And if your favorite topic for 3 minutes is them, you start building a relationship with them that is unique, special, and might be lifelong. So be curious. Don't talk about yourself. Okay. So you have 3 minutes to do this. 3, 2, 1, go. And so just so you know, there's a lot of banter going on and there are a ton of smiles and people are actually enjoying themselves. So this part that I would encourage you with is this is fun and it's more fun than just shaking a hand and welcoming somebody. This is how you make a really lasting impact on a new guest or even a church member that you don't know. So take this opportunity to really seriously lean into talking to these folks and beginning to build that relationship. In some cases, it's hard to actually carry on a 3-minute conversation. And that's an important lesson to learn as well, that 3 minutes can feel like a long time in a lot of respects. And so having a list of questions just kind of mentally prepared when you come to the greeting experience, it's kind of a big deal. Okay, my friends, stop. That was a 3-minute conversation, right? Okay. Turnabout is fair play in this kind of a scenario. And so now the other person is the greeter, right? Now, let me remind you, now that you've had a trial run at this, how many of you had a hard time not talking about yourself or whatever it is that, yeah, right. It's harder than you think because you don't want to be the weird person that's like, okay, so what's your phone number and where do you live? And right. I'm going to come stalk you. No, you don't want to be that person. And so you do want to interject, but sometimes you'll very quickly slip off of that kind of tightrope into, I'm just going to dominate and talk about myself because this person's really uncomfortable in a situation where they're brand new and they're not able to figure things out. And so that's an easy slope to fall into. We'll talk about that in a second, but try not to talk about yourself. Certainly an interjection of the whole Midland, Odessa kind of thing. Oh yeah, I've been out there. It's kind of flat. Now moving on, right? Just a simple little interjection of, no, I'm not a weird guy. But so what did you do out there in Midland? Midland, Odessa? Which one are you from? Yes. Well, no. Which side of this argument are you on? Odessa, right? Because they hate each other and fight and whatever it is, though. Only during football season. So switch roles, and we're going to give you the chance to do a 3-minute conversation. 3, 2, 1, go. So there's always somebody that you will greet at one of the doors that really struggles with this much conversation. And it's certainly okay to lean heavily into the service aspect of this, where you get coffee for them, or you take them to get a cup of water, or just getting them where they go, where they need to go, and even walk them all the way to their Sunday school class if need be. And so don't be deterred by those folks that are really struggling with conversation. You can then switch over to some information stuff like, I noticed that you have kids. Let me show you the kids building, and introduce you to some people over there. Just when you greet them at the front door, point in the direction of, okay, the sanctuary's this way and Sunday school's back this way, and just start giving basic information when they're not comfortable having a longer conversations. We'll be back in about a minute.
I don't know.
All right, my friends, here we are. That was 3 more minutes. 3 minutes.
I think I lost you.
Did you? Did you? All right. You guys can get back to your seats wherever that may be. All right. Did anybody meet somebody fairly brand new to them tonight? Yeah. Okay, a few of you. Good, good. In 3 minutes, what's kind of the most, oh wow, they just shared that information with me moment that you had in 3 minutes? As long as it's actually clean and proper, Larry. Right?
It's been going here a year.
Okay. Yeah,
I never had Patty.
there you go. And that's,
He lied to you.
yeah, yeah. Okay. So you're gonna find out, oh, I just greeted somebody that's been a member here a long time. Don't feel guilty about that. That's just okay. On any given Sunday, we can have as many as 400 people in there, and let's just kind of do something that will bend your brain for a second. Okay. Yes.
Found out that Suzanne went to the same church in Mesquite that my mother went to.
Hey, oh yeah. Does she know your mother? No. Okay. Yeah, but that's really cool. Yeah. Yeah. And how did you get there?
Well, she was I was the breeder, she was the new person, and she She had the name of her church that she went to.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I just,
yeah.
I went there with some friends as a teenager.
Right. Right. Yeah. 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 It's crazy the kind of stuff that you will meet, that you'll hear meeting people at the church. So when you think about church attendance in the United States of America, the statistic right now is about 1.7 times per month is how often people will show up at church. So less than 2 times a month on average. And so many of you show up every Sunday, every time the doors are open. And so you're the people who throw the statistic off to the high end. Okay. And there's a bunch of people that say, I attend Friendly Baptist Church. This is my church. And they throw it off on the low end. And they're here a couple of times a year. Sometimes they're here maybe 4 or 5 times a year, maybe quarterly or only at big events or whatever. This is the first impressions team. This is the group of people who should always say, however many times you show up, I love you. And I'm glad you're here, right? So what you need to gather from that is if we have, say, 420 to 450 in the building, which is our regular number on a Sunday morning, if people typically give you 1.7 times per month, that means that we have turnover of the entire church about every 2 weeks numerically. You get it? So what that means is about 800 to 900 people through the course of a month will show up in this place. That may be on the high end, but it's not statistically high. Even if it's on the low end, more like 700 people circle through or cycle through this church. Are you going to know all 700? No. So give yourself a break. Yeah. And say, hi, my name is, it's nice to see you. And just walk with that person. Oh, I've been attending here for a year. Oh, that's fantastic. Where do you sit in the sanctuary? Oh, I sit down here. You sit up there. Of course, we haven't crossed paths. Whose class are you in? Right? Now we're treating them like a guest, right? Because what happens if I take a 1-year guest or a 1-year member that is only showing up 1.7 times and they say, oh, they care about me. They want me. I'm going to show up 1 more time per month. We've just changed that person's life to sit in community in a small group, which, by the way, that's where the magic happens, not over in that building over there with a guy that just blathers on forever, right? The magic happens when you are doing these community things. That's where the magic happens. And so we get them in community 1 more time. We get them to make 1 more connection, 1 more friendship. We actually start, the cumulative effect is a change in their life because they're hearing the Bible more. They're having more Christian friends. They're actually finding a community that's not outside there. It's in here. And these people will find a depth of abiding with Christ. I had a question. I think you asked me, what does it mean to abide in Christ? One part of that is abiding with one another. That's just part of it. And so this is why it's so crucial for you guys to be in the place that you're in. A couple of quick things that I'd like to point out to you in the Kid Check area. Now, some of you you're dedicated to specific places, right? Kid Check people, where you're in that at that door, right? You're not actually checking them in. You're just at that door. Awesome. So you have incredibly important responsibilities that maybe are a little bit different, but I'd love for all of you to eventually maybe, I don't know, swap out and go in the Kid Check place because it's fun. It's a lot of fun to be in there and be around the kids and see the families and that kind of thing. Greeting people like I did with Jonathan to get them to the Kid Check desk and start filling this out. Now, the reason I said we don't need everything filled out right now, completely and fully. We just need some basic information. He's a guest from out of town. And so I was saying, if we can get enough on this page so that his kids can be safe back in the kids area, and we can contact them in the case of a problem or an emergency. And we know some basic things like if there are allergies, that kind of thing. We've gotten him down the path far enough. If this is a guest that's in Tyler and trying to find a church and that kind of thing, Kaylin's going to make sure, hey, can I get your mailing address? And she's going to make sure that this is fully filled out. But that's not really your job. If you can greet and say, hey, we've got a form for you to fill out so they can get you checked into Kid Check real fast. And then get them to the piece of paper that's on the desk. Kaylin, let me introduce you and make that connection. They end up in with their kids checked in faster. And that has been the difference maker for some of the people in my churches. In the past, I've had conversations with young couples. They specifically said, because you do ministry safe, which means that you've done background checks and that you're actually training to protect my kids against sexual misconduct, and because you have a check-in system, we showed up at your church because we feel like we can trust you. And so that's why we do this. But that's a basic thing. Hey, can you come and start filling this out? And then even help them wrangle kids for a while, right? Because if Wynn is filling out a form, Jonathan now has just taken over for the kids, right? And having another set of hands, and it's a simple thing. You go to the smallest one because the biggest ones are already going to be taking care of themselves. You get to go to the smallest one, get down on their level, and say, what's your name? Dad's right there, right? What's your name? How old are you? Oh, I'm so excited that you're here at church. And so you get down on their level and just start talking to, and who's this? Is this your sister? Yes. What's her name? She seems a little shy. And so you just start having those conversations. Now they're engaged. His life just got easier. Wynn can actually do what she needs to do. Their family feels like, oh, these folks kind of have it together, right? So that's kind of what we want to do with this at the Kid Check. And then, there are a couple of simple questions that are helpful when you're doing that. You greet somebody at the door. Hi, my name's Dan. Jonathan, awesome. Have you ever been here before?
No.
Go ahead and give me that. Oh, you haven't been here before? So you haven't checked into our Kid Check. Oh, it's easy. Come on. Right? So just basic stuff. Have you ever been here before?
Yes.
Awesome. Have you already checked kids into?
We're in this.
Oh, you're in the system? Piece of cake. We're just going to put in your name real fast. Right? And then do a true handoff to Kaylin or for a guest. A true handoff to one of the people who's at that computer checking kids in. And you know what a true handoff is, right? You understand what I mean by that? You make that invitation or introduction. Thank you. You make that introduction and you've got Kaylin's attention. Jonathan's got Kaylin's attention. Awesome. You make that introduction and then now I've handed them off and I'm good. Pretty simple, basic stuff there. And so, getting that form filled out, this is the basic thing that will be on the desk.
That's our biggest need right now.
Yep.
Is that children's check-in desk.
Yes.
Kaylin was asking for some help this morning and I was looking around. I could not find her any help. You have to have a little training with that system over there. But if y'all are interested, even if you're in one of our regular spots and would rather go over there, maybe and help out, it's a lot of fun with those kids, but you have to have a little training.
You do. It's a very simple piece of software. It really is. The next thing that I'd like to just kind of pitch to you, these came out of nowhere. That's 100% my fault. And I didn't take the time to actually tell all of you what this means and what this is. That's on me. All right. But what we're doing is a basic, simple handout. Call it a bulletin. It's not a bulletin because you'll look at it and go, yeah, there's nothing very bulletin-y like on this thing. But let me tell you what the goal is for this. On the front side is essentially a guest card. And we want every church member, every guest, everybody to get one of these. Just hand it to them. Glad you're here. Welcome to Friendly Baptist Church, and just hand it to them. They'll take it from you. Okay. The goal is for them to take it from you. It's probably going in the trash in a few minutes. That's totally fine. For the people who are church members, they're going to look to this side and they're going to find out what's going on in October. And they're going to have some idea of what to be expecting. That's the big events are going to be up here. Something that's going to be kind of church wide. And then down here where it says Sunday nights, that's just basic stuff so that you all know when you look at it, there's a new member dinner on October 8th, and there's a welcome team training on October 22nd. And so when you're bored while I'm preaching, you look at this thing, right? And so just hand it to everybody every Sunday. Now we're considering making this a weekly thing instead of a monthly thing, where this side looks this way and this side just looks like this is what we're trying to get you to do this week. And so if we want you to sign up for something, it's there. If you need just a tiny bit extra information on the fall festival, it's a little bit more than this and bigger and more prominent. We're thinking about making that weekly, but the reason we do it monthly is it's cheaper. I can print for the month of October, even just 400 or 500. And within the first few weeks, people are like, the church members are like, yeah, I've got one of those. Okay, no big deal. But then when a guest comes in, all I'd ask you to do is bring their attention to that QR code. Just call their attention to it. Hey, if you'd like to connect with Dan or any of our staff and have one of them contact you and just get to know the church a little bit better, scan that QR code and fill out the form. So that now they've heard it at the front door. And then when they get into church, they hear it again. And they already are primed to know what that is or know where it's coming from, right? And so there you go. Just a simple, this is a throwaway piece, right? It's nice, but it's a throwaway piece. We expect people to throw this away. We also expect some of them to go, oh, the fall festival is on such and such. Circle that and stick it in their Bible. And now they can look at it. So that's in everybody, right? And those will be at the doors and you can just pick up the peak and hand them out just like we did bulletins, right? You're welcome to give me some feedback as you're doing this with people. Give me some feedback on, Dan, I think we need to do that weekly, or the monthly's fine, or they don't understand what the QR code means, or whatever, you know. There's going to be a little bit of, not everybody's going to know what a QR code is, that kind of thing, but just you're welcome to send me an email, a text message, whatever, and just give me feedback on what your experience is of this piece, because we want it to be good and we want it to fit the bill. So offer that to everybody, and then call attention to the QR code, looking into the weekly things, and go from there. The last thing I'd like to pitch to you as far as just the hands-on experience with guests walking in the door at Sunday school time. We have a piece that isn't out and very prominently displayed right now, but we have a piece that lists all of the Sunday school classes. Do you guys know where that is? Where you can actually, you've probably seen it, but you don't know where it is. Okay, so we're gonna put together a display for at least that piece. And maybe have another place that is with it so that you can find these easily, and they're not necessarily just on the offering boxes. But that piece will have a list of Sunday school classes, where they are in the building, and who teaches them. We have that right now. It's just not out and available to you. And you need it, right? Because you're the person that is going to be able to interact with the guests and get them to the right place. And so look for that piece. And then if it doesn't make sense to you, tell me what doesn't make sense so that we can edit that piece as well and get our Sunday school classes, at least that piece where when Jonathan walks in the door, roughly which class or two you might take him to, right? You need an idea of where you're going to take him. And then I would love for those of you who just want to chat him up all the way over to the building, walk him all the way over to the building, the guests, right? That's a good use of about 5 minutes of your time to walk Jonathan over. Hey, I'm going to take you to the hands and feet class. The Beatties are fantastic, and I'm going to introduce you to them, right? And you start telling them, Keith is a teacher over at Grace, and he's passionate about creation and is a science teacher over there. Really a great guy. He's a deacon at our church. You're going to enjoy getting to know them. And by that time, you get them to the place, and you look around, and you see Teresa, but he's not in there. And say, Teresa, this is Jonathan and Wynn. They're guests today. It's pretty awesome. And then you do a handoff to the teacher. Okay.
Pastor, we do have people called campus guides.
Good.
They do that.
Good.
And of course, if there's not one there, they know they can turn them over to me, and I do that. You see me
Awesome.
doing that all the time.
Yeah.
You see it.
So yes. And I'm not trying to recreate the system. That's a great part. If you've already got that baked into the cake, you as a door greeter, walk them over to me. I'd love to take them to the Sunday school class. Happy to do that. Walk them over to Kevin. Walk them over to
Who are some of the campus guides? Who are you? Raise your hands.
good. Yeah. Yeah. And so you all probably are going to be more in tune with that Sunday school piece, right? If I actually get my way, there'll actually be about 5 or 6 different pieces. There'll be one for kids, and it'll look an awful lot like this, just a little bit smaller. And it'll say something about friendly kids, and then on the back, it'll say, here's the classes and here's the teachers. And we hand that to the family, and they take that thing with them. And then if they're my age, it's an adult thing. And that piece is adult life friendly. And again, maybe a guest QR code on that. And on the back side, I've got all the Sunday school classes, but then maybe there's a little blurb about boot camp and Freedom and Flourish, or the men's ministry, the Ironman ministry, and the women's ministry. Just a little blurb. Hey, here's who you're going to look for these ministries. And so now they can actually take this, and they've got some idea of what we do and when we do it. Right. And so you do that for kids, youth, adults, maybe senior adults, CR. So when you're having the conversation, they go, yeah, I went to CR on Tuesday night. That's fantastic. Awesome. You can pick up 3 or 4 of them. You got kids and you got adults, and so you're now giving them the information that makes them say, you matter, right? So if we get those information pieces expanded and out there, we'll let you know. But being able to hand them off to the campus guides and get them handed off to a Sunday school teacher is really important in my mind, because at that point, we start training our Sunday school teachers and help them to know what it means to onboard HR term, but onboard a new guest or new member, right? And make that,
Usually, whenever I personally drop them off and hand them
Mm.
off, as you say, to a Sunday school teacher.
Mm.
I'll say, somebody in the class, be sure you walk them back. They may not remember the exact pathway to get back to the worship center, so.
Sure.
Somebody take them over, so
Sure.
they'll take responsibility of that.
yeah. There are a million things that I could talk to you about that would be just so much fun. But I'll not keep you too much longer. Can you imagine how special it would be for you to greet somebody at the front door, and then you seek out that person in the worship service and you say, how was Sunday school? You know, and did you have any questions about anything, where anything is in the building? Did you get lost because it's a little bit all over the place? Yeah. That kind of thing. And do you mind if I sit with you? Right? Oh, wait a minute. I sit there no matter what, which if any of you are balcony people, quit it. Anyway, so, but, right? How special would that have been for you at the churches that you were guests at recently? Hey, do you mind if I sit with you? It'd be awesome. And then sit down and ask about the kids and ask about their grandkids and keep being curious and this kind of thing. You might just make a new, very lifelong friend doing that. So just some thoughts. Any questions that you have about the craziness that I've just pitched to you? You're all saying, what in the world did we get ourselves into? Basically what you've always been doing, right? Like I said at the beginning, this is maintenance, clarification, just a little bit of strengthening, just a little bit of this. And then this fantastic team does some really remarkable things. Not for Friendly Baptist Church, to advance the kingdom of God. We don't advance Friendly, we advance God's kingdom. Because when we advance God's kingdom, this will take care of itself. He'll take care of this, right? Because this is his kingdom. This is his bride, his church. So
I had a couple of people ask me this morning, who, that man.
oh yeah,
Very energetic back there.
Yeah.
Mr. Barry.
right.
If he
Crazy
was
man.
there on Sunday morning.
Love it. Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
Dan.
Yes, ma'am.
Anita, and Kevin on Gray
Yes.
on this first.
Yes.
They are so organized. I think it's Benita.
Don't say that.
Well, we know it's Benita. Now,
Not that. We have our.
yes. Yes. Great job. And you just reminded me, Benita, it seems like you've got a small rotation for the coffee, right? Do you need a couple more? Yeah. Yeah, sure. If you're willing to do a coffee rotation as well, or the best thing that you can do for us from the greeter side, welcome team side, first impressions, or the coffee side, or outside out in the parking lot driving the golf carts, whatever. The best thing that you can do for this team is recruit in your Sunday school classes.
Yep.
Is to say, when you get to Sunday school, after the day that you greeted, you go to Alfredo and you say, Alfredo, I had the most fun of my entire life this morning. Even if it's a lie. I met some amazing people and I need you to greet with me next time. Right? And you just recruit somebody to be your buddy to greet, and then let them know. And I bet they can figure that out somehow. I just gave them a lot of work, but it'll be okay. Right?
Well, teenage girls that were visiting, not members here.
Mm.
And I told them this morning, I said, hey, y'all can come help us be readers at this church.
Sure.
I mean, they don't have to be older people. They can be teenagers. We've even had a child or two do this before. Not by themselves, but
Yeah.
it was a child that had to know. If you're new to this, or if you recruit from the Sunday school, like you said, get her the information.
Right.
That way we'll make sure it's all filed away.
Yeah. I said this in a sermon some time ago, and some of it's missed. I get it. When I preach and when I say things, sometimes those points actually are missed. I'm going to say that point very simply. Everything that you're doing, you're serving up conversations and you're serving up relationships. With the coffee bar, we're not really serving coffee. That's why the coffee doesn't really matter all that much, the kind of coffee we have. What matters is that we have coffee so we can serve up a conversation. You drink coffee? Oh, come with me. Let me get you a cup. What do you take in? Be their barista for just a second, you know? Oh, I like to, fix my own. Fantastic. We've got some creamer, and just start pointing things out and be the best host, just like you would at your own home, right? You know, that kind of, is there anything else I can get for you? Is a great question at the tail end of that thing. And so we're serving up conversations and relationships. Just happens to be over coffee. I like coffee. Coffee's pretty great. With a smile. That's right. And so, like I said, we don't compete with Starbucks on the coffee. We compete with Starbucks on the smile, because they ain't got nothing on us for that. You get it? Because we're Friendly Baptist Church, dang it. Anyway, well, let me pray for you. And then thank you so much for coming out and giving us your time. And if you ever have any questions, you call me, text me, email me, and we'll figure that out. Okay. Let's pray. God, you are so good. And I thank you for the gift of a great team and a great ministry. And Lord, we ask that next Sunday, there will be new people that walk in this door, and that we get the great joy of making new friends. That God, you trust us with people, that you give us the opportunity as greeters to lead people into relationship with your church and ultimately into relationship with Jesus. And so, God, we ask you to do that. We ask you to bless our church and to bless our work and bless our ministries. And God, we thank you for consistently meeting with us as we worship in this place. In Jesus' name, amen.